therapy time again. Where do we begin with this one? Um, Again, I would say I'm not shocked or surprised in any way. Um, the fact is, we're going to come to the realization here that Brighton probably have better players than us. I mean, that might not sit well with some of the Liverpool fan base out there. And quite frankly, I don't really care whether it does or not, because it's time for a real reality check. We're going to have a chat about the game. We're going to have a chat about our shortcomings. We're going to have a chat about Brighton. We're going to do some player ratings. And then we'll roll into next week's game, and it'll be the same crap again. We've got a deadline day coming up on Tuesday. We will be doing a show counting down the last couple of hours of that and looking at what Premier League teams, what business they have done on the upper tier. Probably going to be a tough show for me because I don't see us doing any business. And it's absolutely shocking and bewildering. Not only has the drop off and the fall off the cliff been monumental, but now I think as a team we've landed right at the bottom of the cliff. We've actually hit the ground, and it's really, really poor at the moment. It's kind of like, where do you begin? I mean, there's so many problems in this team at the moment. It's just frightening. We can't pass a ball. We can't find a player. We can't hold up play. We certainly don't press. The talk of Jude Bellingham, it's not going to happen. There's no chance it's going to happen. It'd be absolutely ridiculous. And even if it does happen, it's like as if all these players are sitting around the table. You know that picture of the Last Supper? And it's like all these players are sitting around the table and they're all rudderless, no leadership, don't know where they're going or what they're doing. And all of a sudden, the saviour, Jude Bellingham, is just going to walk in the door and sit down with the halo around his head and the light and solve all our problems. This team right now is toxic in so many ways. And yeah, we have some players who will be coming back. Our transfers called this back in December, that this is how January will go. We've got the boy Gakpo in there at the moment, who's really struggling to find his feet on his play and probably shouldn't have started today. We've got Mo Salah in there at the moment, who is really, really struggling. Looks way off the Mo Salah level that we know. So many problems there at the moment. Midfield, Bietic, really, really promising player, really doing well in there at the moment, but needs a level of maturity to his game in terms of needless challenging and picking up stupid bookings that ultimately dilute his impact on the game. And I couldn't understand the substitution for Fabinho on 84 minutes. I mean, he picked up the booking reasonably early on, and he gets to the 84th minute, and then it's time to take him off and put Fabinho on, who's been atrocious all season. Comes on, and first thing he does is give the ball away, and then puts in a reckless challenge on a player that, in my eyes, should have been a red card if it had been properly reviewed. It was a terrible challenge, and he knew it was a terrible challenge. And that guy's confidence is absolutely shot in the gutter. Matoma. We have to talk about Matoma. But before we talk about Matoma, we're going to be talking about our own play. Our passing is disjointed. Our movement up and down the pitch is disjointed. We don't move as a unit. We don't play as a unit. We don't support each other as a unit. Hence the amount of passes we give away. Hence how easy we cough up possession. I was looking at a stat during the game there. And the stat had, I think it was the most touches by players in the opposition's box. And guess what? The top 5 were all Brighton players. And the sad thing about today, and the reality check about today, is Brighton didn't even play that well. If you look at Brighton's player ratings, there's a plethora there of 4s and 5s and 6s. No standouts. They didn't even play well. Trossard moved on to Arsenal, although he had fallen out with the manager. Conchado not even playing. Arguably their best midfielder. And we still go down there and we can't get the job done. Joe Gomez, for the second time in the Amex Arena, being sold. And Matoma scoring. Last time we were there, it was Welbeck. This time it's Matoma. Ball comes over the top of the defence in the dying minutes of the game. And he's given all the time in the world to take a touch and move the ball and set himself and score. And meanwhile, our defence, one gets sent to collect the shopping, and the others are just standing there looking at it evolve. And again, hats off to Brighton. Congrats to Brighton. Wish them the best of luck in the FA Cup for the rest of the season. Hope they get a good draw on Monday night, which we'll be covering on the podcast for my sins. But it's interesting even when you listen to the commentary. I was listening to the commentary on beIN Sports. And with 5 minutes to go, maybe 8 minutes to go, I think it was the 82nd or the 84th minute, the commentators started saying about how happy Liverpool would be to take the game to a replay. 1-1, 8 minutes to go. We're the current holders of the cup defending it. And we'd be happy with taking the game to a replay. That line there alone is a sad indictment of where we're at the moment at commentary level. And you know something? They're not wrong. They're spot on. That's how it felt. And then we hear about the substitutions board got damaged or got broken. And there was an urgency by Liverpool who wanted to quickly take off Thiago and bring on Curtis Jones. And this is where we find ourselves. And whether you love this team or you're struggling with this team, or you like certain players, you support certain players, or you don't support certain players, we are absolutely in the mud. Absolutely in the mud. And I've seen content creators over the last few days talking about our top 4 prospects and all that. Forget about it. This team is incapable of going on a run. And even when we get those players back, yes, we will have options up front, and that might help somewhat. But it'll be the same midfield, except we'll have the inclusion of the second hologram at the club, Arthur Melo, which his signing alone should be nearly a sackable offence. And then we talk about Virgil van Dijk coming back. So which Virgil van Dijk are we going to get back in that defence? Are we going to get the Virgil van Dijk prior to injury? Or are we going to get the Virgil van Dijk who's been absolutely horrific all this season by his standards? And it's just so frustrating needless fouls given away, kicking at players, pushing players over. All the things that teams do when they're in serious problems and inadequate in trying to play the football that they want to play. No leaders, no plan, just rocking up, expecting to do better than last time. Like as if we could do worse. And worse, last time felt worse, but this time just feels unforgivable to be this poor. And I just don't know what solves this at the moment. And then we hear, take a few comments first as I take a breath here. Few heavy tackles there near the end. Absolutely. They were throughout the whole game, Morris, to be honest, throughout the whole game. A sign of frustration and a sign of not being where you should be. Kyle Walsh, also check out obviously check out Morris's page as well. GP Productions Podcast, fantastic. Kyle Walsh, gonna check out Kyle's channel as well. Absolutely brilliant. And Arsenal man, serious trouble at your club, Niall. Absolutely rotten, Kyle, from top to bottom. From the top echelons of FSG right down to a fan base that's become toxic. And I'm about to talk about that. Spirit of Shankly the other day coming out, talking about, the club and the virtues of the club and this kind of thing, and like that they don't necessarily want Qatari ownership and all this kind of thing. And I just think there's no such thing as claim billionaires. And football itself has become a very dirty game in terms of finances. We see the stuff that's coming out at Juventus still. We see a lot of the way that teams move finances around and manufacture revenue and all that kind of stuff. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen how certain governing bodies operate and how things are done. But it's something that we're going to have to figure out. It's something that we're going to have to get serious about. I mean, if we want to sit at the top table of football, a certain level of finance has to be provided on a regular basis. Every window or every second transfer window, refreshing the squad, recycling it, cog out of the wheel, new cog in, all that kind of stuff. We cannot play the game that we've played for the last 2 or 3 years, where we're just pushing players and pushing players and pushing players. And that's why I sometimes talk about FSG and Jurgen Klopp. I talk about them in the same sphere. I don't separate them. And we have, I say it on nearly every podcast at this stage, we've allowed the club to stagnate. We've allowed the squad to stagnate. We've repaid loyalty. When at times we should have been ruthless when our loyalty was misguided. And we've lost our way. We've lost our way in terms of recognizing serious issues. We've lost our way, and we've become sort of we've become victims really of our own sympathy in terms of the world is against us and the team, nearly like Balotelli, why always me? And those players are going out there, they're not enjoying their football. I'm sure they're not enjoying their training. And we've a number of big games coming up now. Every game's a big game at this stage for Liverpool Football Club. But we're really, really struggling. And you can see it in our play. The disjointment. The slowness. We look lost. And it's sad to say it. And Jude Bellingham is not going to fix that. We're going to need a number of signings this summer. I think for Liverpool to rise up again next season, the whole look of this team is going to have to change greatly. And Jurgen Klopp as a manager is going to have to figure out how he evolves if he is the man to head this up. And then some aspects of the fan base, there's serious questions there as well. And yes, we've had so much success. And yes, a lot of it is down to that man. But you can't rest. You can't rest on previous successes. You gotta judge what's in front of you. You gotta judge the here and the now. You know, and so many times it's been next summer, it's been next transfer window, it'll be this, that, and the other, and talk coming out about a huge investment being available, and they're going to push the button on it in the summer. But then are they going to use the excuse if there's no Champions League? Sorry, boys, we don't have the finances of the Champions League coming in. We can't do it. And we'll be back to next summer FC, and we'll be back to signing second, third, fourth choice players. We'll have no European football to look forward to. And we'll be kind of nearly, I won't say back to where it all began again, but not far off it. And like I said today should be a real eye-opener. And I say that nearly on every match reaction, but today should be a real eye-opener, because today is a difficult one insofar as they weren't even that good. And we were worse. So a lot of work for the gaffer to do. A lot of work for the fan base to come together and try and reach a common ground in terms of what we want Liverpool Football Club to be and who we potentially want these owners to be and all that kind of thing. But we better come to a consensus really, really quick, because time is running out. We've got 2 days of the transfer window left. We need serious incomings. And even in this window, we need serious incomings. And I don't care who's coming back off injury, because we've been poor all season. And we haven't had these injuries all season, but we've been poor all season, right from the get-go. And we talk about this club fixing up. This club needs to seriously fix up. And that starts over the next 2 days. Too many players on this team at the moment that aren't at the level. Checked out. Go missing when things get tough. You can see it even in the players that we look for. The players that we look for inspiration. The players who are going to lead out there. The players who are going to make a difference. Just go missing. When it doesn't suit them, or when they don't fancy it, or when you have to get down into the trenches and dig deep and look beyond that badge on your chest and right into your heart to see have you really got it to push it through. Most times this season we've come up short. We've heard all the slogans, this means more, never give up, all these kind of things. Where's all that motivation now? Where are all those signs now? At what stage in this season has it meant more? The drop-off has been sensational. And we said it. We said it for a number of weeks. We've been saying it for a long time now. It has the ability to get worse, and it will get worse before it gets better. And the difficulty at the moment is that we have a fan base at the moment as well who doesn't like the taste of these tears at the moment, and is struggling to figure out how to handle it and how to manage it. Some of the older fans like myself have an easier way of dealing with it because we're kind of used to it, and we felt kind of spoilt in terms of the trophies we were winning under Jurgen. But we got to get back there. Got to figure out, got to fix up, got to find a way to start playing football. Top 4, massive task. Real Madrid, good Lord. Question here in the comments from Morris. Do you think the manager could end up walking? Um, I think he could, Morris. I honestly think he could. I think, you know, I think it's getting to a stage now where it's very uncomfortable for him in terms of the questions. I think now he is saying the result of both his approach along with FSG's approach. And I think it's a difficult one because even where we didn't appreciate FSG as owners and we didn't necessarily hard to palate them and stuff like that, we always felt so long as we had Jurgen Klopp there, we had a barrier that would demand things to be done. And it's very clear this season, if you listen to press conferences and post-match press conferences and stuff like that, he's not in control of that stuff that we thought he was in control of. And the information that's coming out is just sporadic at best. Nonsense most. And just, you know, there's an element of frustration there with that man at the moment because he's talking in riddles and in circles, and he, you know, from one sort of press conference to the next, it's kind of contradictory and stuff like that. We don't need a midfielder. We do need a midfielder. The squad we have is fine. The squad we have is not fine. It's just all over the place at the moment on so many levels. And when you look to him at the sideline, he's a pale reflection of the man who delivered a Premier League title and a Champions League title and cups and various stuff. And delivered that beautiful style of play that we were so used to, that powerful driving football that has now evaporated. And he looks as lost as everyone else. He paints a lonely shadow on the sideline at the moment. Like he's the only man rowing a boat. And because he's the only one rowing on one side, the boat's going around in circles. And until someone takes up an oar on the other side and straightens that boat out and puts us on a road to once where we were, these results are going to happen more and more and more, to the point where he will get seriously frustrated. And you would worry for Liverpool Football Club post Jurgen Klopp. You would worry that some fans, and they're entitled to their opinion in terms of the moral ground, in terms of where the investment comes from, as they wear their AXA training gear. So it's hard to understand how you weigh up your moral duty, as some of these people with their moral high ground sit there in their Nike and their Adidas gear, wearing their Liverpool training gear with their AXA logo on it and stuff like that. And it's bewildering. It's absolutely bewildering. But enough of that. Let's do some player ratings. I'm going to throw in some. I wanted to have a look first of all at the. To make the point, I wanted to have a look at the Brighton ones as well, just to make the point, to verify the point that I made at the beginning, that they weren't even that good today. They started off, if you look at the ratings here that have been given to Brighton, and I didn't necessarily focus on it, Jason Steele gets a 4 out of 10, the goalkeeper. Tarek Lamptey gets a 7. He was one of their best players today. Adam Webster gets a 4. Lewis Dunk gets a 7. Estepanen gets a 5. Sully March gets a 5. Probably one of his worst performances of the season. Alexis McAllister, World Cup winner Alexis McAllister, gets a 5 today in the ratings. These are not my ratings. These are the Brighton ratings. Pascal Gross gets a 6. Probably one of his worst displays today as well. Matoma gets an 8. Clearly was their man of the match. Danny Welbeck gets a 6. Never really in the game. And Evan Ferguson gets a 4. Struggled at times in the game, and obviously went off with the injury. Their substitutions, Veltman gets a 6. Billy Gilmore gets a 5. Veltman came on for Webster. Gilmore came on for Welbeck. And Undav came on for Ferguson on 89. Doesn't get a rating. And the manager gets a 7 out of 10. They're your Brighton ratings. Not by me. They're the ones that are out there. So they had 2 7s, an 8, and a whole platter of 6 4s and 5s. That was Brighton today, who just knocked Liverpool out of the FA Cup with a late goal. Liverpool, who were playing for a replay to go back to Anfield. So I put that out there. Let's start with our own ratings. Alisson. Unlucky with the dunk one. Couldn't have done anything for the Matoma one. Gets a 6 out of 10 today. I still think made a couple of good saves as well, but I still think there's still more to be had from his distribution. I think his distribution at the moment is very, very safe. And not safe insofar as players running in on him when he has the ball, but safe insofar as he's kind of happy just to get rid of it without any purpose. And most of our play at times was built from the back and down the wings. Trent today, it's a difficult one with Trent as well to try and rate him. He made a real good goal line clearance there in the first 15 minutes. But every time Matoma picked up the ball and stuff like that, you feared for him. He went by him with ease. And with ease to the point where, did we learn nothing from last time there? What are we working on? Is this a surprise? Is the way Matoma plays a surprise to us? I don't think so. Give Trent a 6. Could have been lower, but give him a 6. Konate today. Give Konate a 7 today. I thought he was reasonable, but again, I'd like to see him more controlled, a bit more confident. There's still that bit of way in which he plays gives me a little bit of anxiety at times, and if it's giving me anxiety, it's going to give the players around him a bit of anxiety. I'd like to see that more controlled Konate, clever, take the ball down, distribute the ball out, do what he has to do. Joe Gomez, I gave I was going to give him a 6 if we went to a replay, and giving him a 5. I think he got sold for the Matoma one. And I think when you look at that goal, I think it was more about the ability of Matoma than it was about the kind of eagerness of Joe Gomez. And I just think with Joe as well, I think Joe could give us a little bit more going forward. I think he's a little bit static and a little bit stale. And yeah, got done for that goal at the death with so much time, Andy Robinson today, a 4. Left us open a little bit today, somewhat. The combining wasn't where it should be. Often misread the game. The switch ball from Trent at times just going out, recognising himself that they were good balls, but he just didn't get there because his reading of the game is off. So a struggle today for Andy Robinson. Naby Keita, give him a 6 today. Again, it's just a collection of needless fouls, and a collection of just not being at it. I don't think I've ever seen a player take to the pitch so pissed off looking, like it's the last place he wants to be. And this is him getting played. So I just don't know what the solution is to Naby Keita. He's going to head off in the summer anyway. There was some talk floating around and then the contract negotiations broke down. And thank God, I think we just need to change there. We just need to move on from Project Naby Keita. Not good enough. Stefan Bietic today, I gave him a 6. Was definitely influential in the middle of the park. Broke up play a lot of the time as well. Seems to be one of the guys out there that shows a little bit of nous and a little bit of kind of get up and go and desire. But at times just a little bit too much over desire, leading to silly fouls, leading to a booking, ultimately leading to the dilution of his impact on the game. So I think with a little bit more experience and a little bit more cleverness, he'll figure those things out over time and become a very powerful player for Liverpool. Kyle in the comments. I think Klopp will go sooner than we think, unfortunately. You could be right. You could be right. Could be gone as early as this summer. Who knows? Thiago Alcantara had a bit more license to roam in this game, I think. Give him a 6 out of 10. Again, trying little sort of intricate passing and stuff like that, but just didn't come off. Again, we talk about Thiago and the team just being, his mindset for football is just at a different level at times to what's around him. I don't know. It's a weird one with Thiago because I don't know. Sometimes he picks up the ball, and I think when we're trying to move the ball quickly from front to back, I think he slows it down slightly, takes a touch, moves the ball around. Look, we all love Thiago Alcantara. We love the little shoulder drops. We love all those little things and those little turns he does where he gets away from players with the ball and stuff like that. But ultimately, the use of the ball has to be a bit more progressive and probably a bit more in tune with the players that are around him or the players he's trying to pick out. I think at times he looks a bit bewildered at the lack of movement in front of him. We're very static at times on the pitch where he wants a lot more movement. You've seen it today, even with that one where he went into the box and they tried that quick switch and stuff like that. Just didn't come off. And that to him looks like a simple thing to do. Like he probably thinks that as being a simple thing to do. And it's beyond us. Mo Salah. Give him a 5 today. Got into a couple of positions. Still looks like he's way off the pace. I don't know. Just with Mo at the moment, I just think it's a difficult one as well because we judge Mo Salah at such a very high level, and rightly so. And I don't know. I just think all this talk of a potential sale and a move and cashing in on him, and look, he hasn't been great all season. I mean, his stats, his goals and his stats and all are decent. But I just think it's been a struggle for him at times this season. He's been out wide, different playing partners up front, no synergy, the lack of ball movement and the link-up play. He's having to kind of hold up the play himself, which is not really his game. And I think he's struggling to come to terms with that. And he just looks like a guy at the moment who's absolutely hating football. And that's a real concern for us because he's the guy up front that we look to and we normally can rely on and stuff like that. But he just looks like he's fed up with his football at the moment. And heck, maybe, let's put that out there. Let us know your thoughts. Maybe it is time for Mo Salah to move on. Maybe Mo Salah and Liverpool, maybe this season is the end chapter for him, maybe. And maybe it is time to cash in and maybe not let players go for ridiculously low money or free even. Maybe it's time that we recycle it out and we go, listen, thank you for the memories, thank you for all the goals and all the fantastic stuff you did, but it doesn't go on forever. Steven Gerrard retired, Robbie Fowler was sold, Luis Suarez was sold. You know what I mean? We can't just assume this is going to go on and on and on and not think of some way of refreshing it and stuff like that. Cody Gapco today, I think it's a real dilemma with him at the moment. I think if we had an option there, we need to take him out of the foreign line at the moment. I think he's come into Liverpool in a really, really tough run of form, and with a high expectation that he was going to come in and set things alight from the get go. The kid's clearly struggling to adjust to the game, and I think we need to change that up a little bit and have a think about it. I think he's also dropping really, really deep. At times when I look at him play, I think of it and I look like very similar to Harry Kane at Spurs. He's having to drop so deep to get into the game. And I wonder, are we playing the boy to his strengths? And I don't think we are. But the funny thing about it is, I don't think we're playing anyone to their strengths at the moment. And again, that's a conversation that needs to be had as well. Harvey, I gave a 7 to. I thought he took his goal well. He had another chance as well. He was unlucky. Just again, it's again some of these opportunities that are coming. It's our close control on the ball that keeps on letting us down. We're just really struggling to control the ball to get it home, if you like. And you can see we're having to take an extra touch because of confidence instead of unleashing it. And I just think for Harvey today, at times, he made a couple of nice runs. He was playing on the shoulder and stuff like that, and we didn't pick him out. But when we did, you can see how dangerous he can be. But again, it's just a little bit. There's just one or two things just missing there to really hit it home and stuff like that. And it could be a confidence thing. It could be that the team itself isn't playing well. Number of issues there at the moment. And that's why it's hard. That's why I don't want to be overly critical of players like Harvey Elliott at the moment because of how bad the team is playing. And I think it's really important for those guys, that we look at the overall picture in terms of the team and how it's playing, especially when we're doing the ratings as well. And I suppose you could say the same for Mo as well. I mean, he's having to do, in order to get into scoring positions, he's having to do a lot more work himself that in previous times would have been done through his link-up play and those triangle moments with Trent and with Hendo and stuff like that. That has absolutely evaporated. And then even the link-up play that you would have there where Alisson puts the ball out to Virgil pretty quick, and Virgil was able to pick a pass to Mo Salah there really, really quick, front to back to put him in. That doesn't happen anymore. Most of those passes either fall short or they come into Salah and his close control isn't what it should be, maybe from a confidence point of view, where he seems to be getting muscled off the ball a lot easier these days and stuff like that. And I just think at the moment it's a real struggle all around the pitch at the minute. But look, this has been your match reaction and player ratings. Another tough one again, straight from the heart. We don't mince our words on this one. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Let me know your thoughts on the game today. Liverpool crashing out of the FA Cup. Lots of questions for Klopp to answer. Same questions we've been answering since the Fulham game at the start of the season. Solutions need to be found. Squad needs to be revitalised. Players need to be back off injury ASAP. We will go again. I will be back with you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with the Monday mashup, where we'll review all the FA Cup results. And we'll have a chat about transfer news and all that kind of stuff. The usual on the Monday mashup. And then on Tuesday, we'll be counting down deadline day. Tomorrow we'll probably bring you, we may bring you the draw as well. We'll see what happens. Depends on the timing and stuff like that. I think the draw's at around 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. So we might cover the draw as well for the FA Cup. Interesting to see what ties are pulled out of it. But Tuesday we will be back counting down deadline day. We'll be on your screens from about 9ish, 9:30, right through till 11 till it shuts. We will review all the Premier League business and asking the question what business teams have done. Is that enough? No doubt we'll be talking about Arsenal and City and, have Arsenal done enough in the market? And whether that's enough to get them through to the title. That's the big question that's going to come out at deadline day. But until then, folks, this has been the Shankly session. Liverpool crash out of the FA Cup. Good luck to Brighton, winning 2-1 with an injury time goal from Matoma. We will talk to you again real soon. You can hit us up. You'll find us on Twitter. We are the upper tier. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You'll always get us on YouTube. If you're in the chat or you're watching it, like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. Liverpool. We will talk to you again real soon.